This is question number 6 of homework 3, chapter 12. You're given the following information for this firm. Assume the company's tax rate is 30%. So as usual, I would like to put everything on Excel when I read the setup. Tax rate is 30%. And continue this. Debt 6,000. 7.9% coupon bond. So coupon rate is 7.9%. Coupon rate is 7.9%. And par value is $1,000, right? Par is $1,000. And 25 years to maturity. So maturity is 25 years. And selling for 108% of, this is 108% of par value. Right, so bonds make semi-annual payment. So this is a semi-annual bond. Semi-annual. So just put this as a frequency. This is 2, which basically means that every year we have 2 coupon payments. So that's for bond. Common stock, we have a number of shares outstanding setting for this, and the beta is that. I also have to write number of shares of bonds. Number of bonds. This is 6,000. This information will probably be useful later when we calculate the weighted average cost of capital, because we will need the weight, right? The weight will be based on the market value of the debt and equity. So that's debt, and so let me just put another row to indicate this is debt. And after that, we have stock. Stock is number shares outstanding. Right, so this is 510,000 shares, and price per share is $69 per share, and beta is 1.12. And market, I've also given the market information. So market information is 10% market risk premium. So this is RM minus RF is 10%. And the risk-free rate is 5.9%. So RF is 5.9%. So the question is asking what is the company's WACC, right? Weighted average cost of capital. Rounding requirement, do not round intermediate calculations. Enter your answer as a percent rounded to 2 decimal places. So to get WACC, we first need to get the cost of capital, right? Pre-tax COD. And then we also need to get after-tax COD, right? And then we also need to get another row, the cost of equity. So pre-tax cost of debt basically is the yield to maturity, right? But here, since we have a semi-annual bond, so if we use the rate function, we know that this will give us the semi-annual yield to maturity. So after we use the rate function, we still need to multiply by 2 to get the annual yield to maturity. Right, so if you open the rate function, the first argument will be NPER, so that stands for the number of coupon payments. Since we have 25 years and every year we have 2 coupon payments, so we just need to multiply the number of years by 2 to get the total number of coupon payments. And the second argument is payment, so this is the coupon payment. Here I have a choice. I can either put payment and the future value, which is the par value, as negative number, and PV, which is the third argument here, which is the price, to be a positive number, or I can switch the signs between these 2 sets of numbers. So here I choose to make payment be a negative number. So payment is the coupon rate multiplied by the par value. And don't forget, this is the annual coupons, but we need the semi-annual. So I need to divide this by the frequency. And the third argument, as I said, I choose to make the coupon payment to be negative. Hence, I also need to make the par value, sorry, the price to be a positive value. But price here is coded as a fraction of the par value. So I need to multiply this 108% by the par value to get the price. And finally, I also need to make, to be consistent, I need to make the future value, which is the par value, to be a negative number. So now I can close this, but as I said, so far we just calculated the semi-annual YTM. So after that, I still need to multiply this by the frequency to get the annual pre-tax cost of the debt. So this is not dollar, so I need to change the format, not make it not to be the dollar, to be rather this needs to be in percent. And after-tax cost of debt basically is the pre-tax cost of debt multiplied by 1 minus the tax rate, right? Tax rate. So you can notice here I choose to do all the calculations based on formula rather than hard coding the data. You can see that none of the numbers is hard coded numbers, right? So this is after-tax COD. And cost of equity basically is, we know the beta, right? So we can use the CAPM, capital asset pricing model, to calculate the cost of equity. So CAPM says that cost of equity, if I write down the formula, right, to write down this formula, this is RF plus beta times RM minus RF, right? So this is the formula. And now I can just plug in the numbers. So RF is this number, so and beta is this number, and times the RM minus RF is this number, right? So I just need to. So far, actually, even though you can see this, this is just for viewing purpose. The Excel doesn't keep any number of decimal places, right? So in terms of the calculation, so I just followed the rounding requirement. Do not round the intermediate calculations. So we have so far we got the cost of debt and cost of equity. So the only thing that we need to figure out is the D over D plus E, right? The debt ratio. And hence, once we know that, we can also easily figure out E over D plus E, the equity ratio. And the sum of these two has to be 1. So once we figure out the D over D plus E, we can easily figure out E over D plus E, which is minus that. So just remember, we need to, as I said, the D and the E both need to be in market values, right? So the D, the market values, is simply the number of bonds. Is equals the number of bonds multiplied by the price. Right? But price here is still coded a fraction as a fraction of the par value, so we still need to multiply by the par value. So far I just got the D part, the market value of the debt. So that's my numerator, and denominator I have the sum of the D and E. So for the first part, I can just copy this, right? So that's the same. And the second part is the E, market value of the equity. So this can be obtained by multiplying the price, right? Price per share by the number of shares outstanding. And now I can close this. So you can see that since I already put the formula for the E over D plus E, so this, once I calculated D over D plus E, E over D plus E is automatically calculated. So finally, WACC is simply this equals after tax, right? After tax COD times D over D plus E plus COE, which is cost of equity, times E over D plus E, right? Equity ratio. So this is the formula to get the WACC. And since I have every number, every input ready to calculate the WACC, I can just plug in the numbers directly. So after tax cost of debt is equals this cell reference times D over D plus E, and plus COE, this cell reference, and times E over E plus E. So now for the final step, I do need to worry about the number of decimal places because the question asks me to keep 2 decimal places and as a percent. So I follow that, and this final answer here turns out to be 15.23%. 15.23%. Now check my answer. This is correct.